Hello everyone, TimeToGrind here, and today I wanted to talk about Phantom Abyss. And Phantom Abyss is one of the most exciting new roguelites I have played recently. It pretty much is an Indiana Jones movie in an action-packed video game that also adds a ton of super unique mechanics like asynchronous multiplayer that I'll touch on later. So overall in the game, you're trying to make your way through a dangerous temple in order to find sacred relics hidden within. And when you start the game, you are placed at the start of the temple, and the game tells you how many other players died in the temple that you're about to try making your way through. And you will immediately notice that there are these blue ghosts that are trying to make their way through their temple just like you. And these ghosts are the previous attempts of actual real-world players. Because the super awesome gimmick in this game is that when you die in a temple, you can never attempt that same temple again. The game instead lets other players attempt the exact same temple you tried. And when one player actually completes the temple, that temple is sealed and no one else can attempt to beat it since you already gained all the treasure from it. And so when you're playing the game and you see these blue ghosts, you know that those were real players that attempted the temple. You can kind of use them to your advantage by allowing them to stay ahead of you and, kind of watching and seeing what they attempted to do, so they could potentially show you where traps are or where chests full of coins are or more loot and more. And overall, it's just a really awesome kind of thing to not be alone in the temple, because obviously you actually are alone in the temple, but being able to see all of the other players' previous attempts in the temple makes the game feel very social. But let's move on to talking about how the gameplay actually works. Overall, the game is heavily platform and parkour based. Most of the challenge in the game comes from dodging traps like spikes, pitfall, darts, and more, and you start with 3 health, which allows you to take a couple of hits before dying. Most traps, including falling into a bottomless pit, will only take away 1 health, and there's also fall damage, which will deal like half a heart most of the time, but if you do a roll right when you land on the ground with perfect timing, you won't take any damage. But the main thing at your disposal to help you with all of these traps and challenges and parkour things is your trusty whip. You have a whip that allows you to pull yourself to pretty much anything in the world, from ledges to platforms, as long as you are in range of it, and this actually adds a lot to the game. Firstly, it allows you to save yourself if you start falling in a pit or are about to get hit by traps, as long as you have fast enough reaction time. And secondly, as you start to get good at the game and get used to the temples, you can use it to really speed through the game, especially the early parts that you're kind of starting to get used to. It really makes you feel like Spider-Man. No, just kidding. It's a stupid meme, but for real, it does make you feel like, an Indiana Jones type explorer going through temples looking for loot, and it's just so freaking satisfying when you get some awesome plays or saves off by using it. And when you're going through the temples, you'll find chests that contain gold and sometimes keys for later on. But you want to go out of your way trying to find as much of this as you can. And the game does a pretty good job at hiding some of this loot, whether it's up in a ceiling hidden away that you might miss, or tucked away in a corner that's protected by a bunch of traps. But getting as much of this gold as you can is super important, because at the end of each floor, you'll be able to spend your gold to get an offering of one of 2 randomly chosen perks. And these can be things like giving your whip more range, or giving you a double jump, or allowing you to heal some damage you took. And these are super important to increase your chances of making it further in the temple. But as soon as you make it past the first floor, the guardian of the temple will be after you. And there are multiple ones, but they will all spawn in certain points of the temple and will try to kill you. One of them just slowly heads straight towards you, going through walls and everything, and tries to get close to you to kill you. One will shoot sunbeams at you, one will shoot these like bouncing poison orbs, and more. And these definitely cause you to try to, just go through the temple as fast as possible, because when they're on your tail, you don't have infinite time to explore for coins and chests, though the game will definitely try to still tempt you with them. Because later in the temple, especially since the guardians start getting more and more powerful, the game gets extremely intense, because, you want to go out of your way to find more coins to help you get more perks to make you better, but you also sometimes just want to go as fast as possible to not die from the guardians. And if you make it past all the floors of the temple, you can claim the relic and win the temple. And as I mentioned before, no one else can play that temple because you won it and got everything from it. And there are a lot of extra paths that allow you to go even further. You know, there's things like once you have certain keys, you can actually halfway through the first temple, you know, kind of make your way into like a special second, you know, dungeon and stuff like that. And there's a lot of stuff in this game that I have not even discovered yet, but that's definitely a good thing. There seems to be a lot of replayability in the game because there's a bunch of stuff I haven't even discovered. And another big aspect with the game is the fact that you can buy more different types of whips with some of the keys that you get in the temples. They all have pros and cons, so one might give you an extra heart container, but, you know, causes you to take damage if you're touching water for too long. And some of them actually interact with the ghosts, like there's this one whip that gives you double coins from chests, but if a ghost opens up a chest before you do, then you don't get any of those coins. You kind of have to actually speed run and go faster than the ghosts that had previously played, you know, that temple. And I absolutely love this, as I love the gimmick the game has going for it, and all the interactions between this stuff is awesome. And if you die in a temple using one of the whips that aren't the default ones, so one of the ones you bought, you can't use that whip again until someone actually beats that temple you lost it in, which I actually love because it just solidifies the gimmick and makes you feel like you really did die in that temple and your ghost is waiting there to be freed by someone else. And also, if you're playing this game and you have other friends you know that are playing the game as well, if you die in a temple, you can actually share a temple code with your friend and they can try to attempt to beat that temple, and if they beat it, you'll actually get all of the keys that you found but lost in the temple because you died, and I think that is super, super cool. And the temples visually look super amazing. The soundtrack is super intense and adds to the game really well. The game is in early access, so they have a ton of things that they're planning on adding, but overall, if this looks like something that, you know, would be fun for you, I think you should definitely pick it up right now. It's in a very solid place, and I think you can get a ton of content out of the game even now with the launch of early access, especially if you're into these parkour platforming types of games. And if you want to see what full runs of the game look like, then definitely recommend checking out my Let's Play series over the game. But if you have played Phantom Abyss or just from watching gameplay, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Also, consider subscribing and ringing that bell like all the big boy YouTubers say to be notified when more reviews and Let's Plays come out. But if you guys are going to be grinding out some runs in Phantom Abyss, then I wish you guys luck, and see you all next time.